What's up, and welcome back to Nowstalgia Pod, 2018 edition, Dave. I guess technically we had a episode last week, but
not technically we did
in 2017. So this is our first recorded podcast of 2018. So happy New Year, listeners! And as a New Year present to Dave and myself, I am Pat Sheehan. We're going to give you your weekly look at what's going on in pop culture, but as a New Year's gift to us and as a resolution for yourself. Subscribe on YouTube to this podcast and get a friend to subscribe too. Help us out. Dave and I really appreciate it. We've been getting more and more SoundCloud listens on the reg, which we really appreciate.
Yes, so, growth.
Yeah, keep doing your part.
Exponential growth. We just dripping in finesse out here.
So Dave, with 2018 now kicking off, we had the Golden Globes this past weekend.
Everyone's favorite award show.
Yeah, because everybody gets drunk and it's a good time. And you tweeted about how it doesn't really mean much.
Nope, never has.
Well, this year wasn't very fun either. You know, we've been talking about it on the podcast. Go back on our SoundCloud or on YouTube, soundcloud.com/nowstalgiapod. And you can find our conversations about sexual harassment, sexual abuse in Hollywood, and how it's changed the landscape. It really changed the tenor of this award show. The Golden Globes, Myers, who said that he was like the first dog shot into outer space for the award show season, because basically everybody's watching, seeing how are you going to handle this. And what did you think? Did you get to watch the show at all?
No, I didn't watch it. I tuned in, followed along. As people won and memes happened and whatnot, but yeah, it's really the first televised award show. It's the first one that normal people really tune into, of course. But that being said, with the the Me Too presence and just the general air in the room for the industry, with Spacey and Weinstein, like you said, it's it kind of made the Globes have to be about something other than the lighthearted drunkenness and tomfoolery that you kind of expect from the show. So when you take that away, what are the Golden Globes really? Because I mean, everyone wore black in solidarity, and all the dudes wore the pins, and I mean, everyone said the right things, but it really what really matters is what happens next. I think Denzel Washington said that on the carpet. It's about what happens a year from now. Is there actually going to be any real change? So, everyone did what they had to do, but I don't know. It didn't seem like it was anything that you missed out on if you didn't watch. Seth Meyers, being a straight white male, predictably got out of the way at the show as a host. He's very small presence by design, and the best thing about his monologue was when he had people do his bit from his show, the jokes Seth can't tell, right? So, I mean, ultimately, and because the awards don't matter in terms of prestige, nor are they much of a predictor for the Oscars, I mean, you didn't miss anything if you didn't watch.
Yeah, I totally agree. Seth Meyers was in a tough spot. I think Getting Out of the Way was probably the best movie he could have done. And the speeches took up most of the night. Oprah's speech is being lauded and dissected today. And it was a good speech for sure. But overall, just the presence of the Golden Globes and the tenor of the night was different, and that's the way it's going to be, I think, for the foreseeable future until kind of the dust settles on this. Like Oprah said, there's like a new dawn on the horizon. So definitely going to be changing over the next year or two. In terms of who actually won the awards, TV, literally nothing new. Handmaid's Tale, Sterling K. Brown, and Big Little Lies pretty much dominated. For the movies, so this is the thing. You talked about how Golden Globes just doesn't matter. It's in a weird spot because we're talking about movies that have already been awarded, for the Emmys, and then the Academy Awards are coming up, and we don't know anything about these yet. Like who's going to win, who's favorite, especially this year, where there's not really a clear favorite. What do you make of Three Billboards doing so well with Best Supporting Actor, Best Actress, and Best Drama?
Yeah, I kind of alluded to this last week when we did our Best Movies pod, which check that out, soundcloud.com/nowstalgiapod. But I was I have reservations about Three Billboards as a Best Picture contender, and awards season force. So I was kind of unnerved just because I don't want it to win compared to the other films. But again, I have to remind myself it doesn't matter, it doesn't necessarily mean anything, yada yada. And what I keep hanging my hat on is that the Hollywood Foreign Press, very few members are also in the Academy, like the Producers Guild, Writers Guild, and the Screen Actors Guild. Those awards are better predictors. So I'm like, let me wait and see what happens with the other ones before I start getting mad. But yeah, in terms of the wins, I mean, I think Frances McDormand and Sam Rockwell are pretty easy cases. That's not something I expect to go away. But Three Billboards got a screenplay award, which I mean,
Yeah.
for a movie, if you want to nominate stuff, you want to award stuff for that film, I think the screenplay is the clear weakness, especially at the end, as I've said before. So that kind of struck me as they're just kind of, just throwing stuff at it. But I mean, Guillermo del Toro won Best Director. I really don't think he's going to win the Academy Award. So I don't know. It was weird.
Yeah, it was definitely weird. And also his reaction, Del Toro, winning that award, especially when they call his name for the nomination after Natalie Portman's like the all male,
all male nominees,
best director nominees. Yeah. So definitely weird night. And your man, Gary Oldman, winning for his portrayal of Winston Churchill. And then Twitter with the receipts pulling up the interview he did like 5 years ago saying the Golden Globes don't fucking matter. So Gary Oldman himself said it last night. Didn't matter in terms of landscape at all, just more of like the tenor of Hollywood in general right now.
Right. Also, like Oldman has some bad stuff in his past in terms of domestic issues. Nothing like criminal per se, but some bad things he's done anyway. And then even Franco had some shady sus shit in his past too. So it's like the two male lead actor wins have the stink on them still. So it's nothing's perfect. But
do you think Franco should have let what's his name talk? Was John Weiss or whatever his name is, or Wiseau, the guy from
Tommy Wiseau?
Tommy Wiseau, yeah.
I don't know, man. Tommy's such a weird guy that I can kind of understand. Like when I saw Franco, like nod him off basically, and block the mic, I was like, all right, that's fine. Like I don't know, I wasn't offended like everyone else was.
I mean, I wasn't offended by it, but I definitely was interested to see what he was gonna say.
Yeah.
Also, Tanya Harding got a shout out from Allison Janney. What do you think about that?
Yeah, well, if you see Tanya, you might be more sympathetic to Tanya Harding as a person, as a character. Great win for Allison Janney. I think she's very deserving, and it's going to be her, Laurie Metcalf from Lady Bird. It's quite the race. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing. I mean, for the TV side, like you said, they're either playing catch up with like This Is Us and The Handmaid's Tale, or because of when the Golden Globes take place, they're getting the first look at shows that were past the Emmy cutoff, and you can see that with The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, which won twice. So they the Hollywood Foreign Press is jumping out of their seats to award somebody first, and that's basically what happened there. But from what we know, it's still well deserved. I would like to watch that show at some point. But yeah, I mean, overall, I'm going to pay more attention to the Guild winners. Logan got a Best Adapted Screenplay nomination from the Writers Guild, which is really cool.
I'm for that, dude. I hope that they win. As I was saying, I hope that they get some love for that movie. But yeah, the Golden Globes didn't matter. Tell me if this matters though. Justin Timberlake's new album, Man of the Woods, coming out February 2nd, a couple days before his performance at the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Should we care?
I don't know if we should, man. That trailer, which dropped, was it last Friday, right? Last week?
Justin Timberlake, this big, rugged mountain man.
Yes. Oh, Timberlake being conspicuously less urban and less appropriating of culture and getting back to his Memphis woodsman roots. And then he drops his lead single, Filthy, which is anything but. It's just kind of more of the same beats for him in terms of his traditional hits. It's livelier than Can't Stop This Feeling, which was basically a Coldplay song, so I'm happy about that. But
and it's better than anything on 2020 Vision Part 2.
Yeah, dude, I hate that. I hate that album so much. That album's really bad. But I would like to hear more before I get excited, because Filthy was just fine. I don't know.
It's pretty catchy. It's been stuck in my head a little bit.
Yeah.
it's a 16 track album, and it's been 5 years since he released an album. I, I'm cautiously optimistic because I don't know if Filthy is that catchy. I think it's gonna be more like 2020 Vision Part One, which
2020
was nothing.
experience.
2020 Experience Part One, yeah, sorry.
Right. Yeah,
Part
it comes
one
with
that
5 years for that shit.
yeah. So I thought that was an up and down one that had some really high highs and some very
Right.
low lows. I don't really know how I feel about Jessica Biel getting a cameo appearance at the end of this song. Just kind of like throwing that in there.
Okay.
And for his features, he's got Chris Stapleton, who we know he basically like
Yep.
discovered, so he's going to be on it. The Neptunes, which is a cool one for L's
Yeah.
Everywhere right now, and he's helping produce this as well. And Alicia Keys.
Yep.
So three pretty big names. Chris Stapleton's the one that fits most for what he's marketing this album as.
Right.
I would say.
Yeah.
But I mean, who knows what this is even going to be, dude?
Yeah. I don't know. It's interesting because I'm not as excited about the music per se, but I'm just kind of thinking about the landscape. And a lot of pop stars released albums last year. I mean, he's staking his claim. He wants to get that first 2018 #1 single by the sound of it. He was anticipating Bruno Mars and Cardi B showing up, but you know, I respect the strategy. It makes sense. But yeah, I like to hear more before I can, because like Filthy doesn't fit that vibe of the trailer at all. So I still don't know what to expect, you know?
Yeah, I don't know what to expect either. Shout out Cardi B, dude. She's unstoppable right now. She jumps on that finesse track, and all of a sudden it's like skyrocketing.
It's crazy. It's crazy. That
Amazing.
song's honestly, like, I listened to him, like, I don't even remember this song. Like, I remember, there's like 4 or 5 hits off 24 Karat Magic I really liked, and I was like, I don't remember this at all. And I listened back, I'm like, nope, it's the same thing, just a remix. Wow. But shout out Bruno Mars. I mean, he's gonna finish his world tour off that album this summer. He just released a single, via remix. I mean, talk about legs for an album. He's doing great.
Yeah, I'm glad he got some Grammy nominations for that because it's definitely deserved. Speaking of albums though, so Justin Timberlake released a 16 track. Is going to be releasing a 16 track album. So that's 15 songs in an interlude. Probably going to be, I have to imagine, close to an hour.
Yeah.
Prince and the Lights on December 29th just drops out of nowhere this album. Just for Us. 26 minutes long. Fucking perfect.
Yeah.
So nice.
The real MVP, Francis Starlight. Dude, I just got to say, that album cover sucks. The aspect ratio, like, what the fuck is that image?
Yeah, I don't know how they picked that.
Because like everywhere you look, it's not like a standard square.
Right.
Like even go to Wikipedia and it's all like long. I don't know. That like it really bothers me. I don't know. It's so stupid.
I know.
But anyway, I like the music.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't think this is gonna be Francis and the Light's best album ever. But for an album that was dropped out of nowhere, I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah.
Some really high highs and some very forgettable songs. I thought the first song I wish had been longer because it was a minute and a half, and that beat is infectious. The sound is really like subtle, I feel like, in this, and there's like some really heavy production on it, which is just a staple of his sound anyway. But what were the songs that stood out to you, and I mean, what do you take away from this album just in general?
Yeah, he's clearly a producer first. You go on his Wikipedia and you can see all the various music projects he's done with various outfits and projects and whatnot. He's pretty experienced, despite not being super mainstream until I guess Chance really brought him into the the starlight, if you will. But I think the title track, Just for Us, is really awesome. I mean, that's the song that you have to play for anyone who's like, oh, the Phil Collins comp, like, is that reductive? Like, are you just saying that? No, like, he sounds like fucking Phil Collins. Like,
which, I mean, I don't hate it. Like, if he's gonna be
that's cool. No one else does right now.
Yeah, it's not a bad lane to be in. I really enjoyed the song Breaking Up. I felt like not only was it like a kind of a clever wordplay on the chorus, like like a phone call is like the driving force behind the lyrics, but also just like the way it was like sung and so simple, kind of like devastating as like a breakup song. Um, I also really like the last track, Cruise. Like,
Yeah,
put that
Cruz is
on.
getting good buzz.
It's a, we were talking about which one to put on the album. We went, or on our new playlist, which you can find on Spotify, 2018 Nostalgia Best of. But I really was between those two, Just for Us and Cruise. I feel like those two songs really embody the album and the spirit. In between, there's not really anything else memorable, but that's okay. Like France and the Lights, they're not a top tier performer yet, or he's not a top tier performer yet, but
Yeah.
he's growing and he's latching on to some huge stars.
Yeah, it's weird too. Like Francis Starlight is his name. Francis in the Lights is the name of this musical project, even though Francis in the Lights is still just one person. It's not a band. So little weird sometimes. But
the whole idea of the band is weird. It's like whoever is there, the band, and whoever's not there is still the band.
Right. Yeah. That's like the credo or whatever. But yeah, I mean, if the name sounds familiar, you obviously listening, you probably know the May I Have This Dance remix, which subsequent video he did with Chance the Rapper. And then Friends with Bon Iver, which has Kanye in the video. Yeah. His other big song. He's actually interesting too, because he wrote and produced one of Drake's songs on Thank Me Later.
I didn't know that.
Totally out of the blue. Yeah. I mean, obviously that was a long time ago before anyone had any idea who he was. But yeah, he's an interesting guy because, I mean, you can tell just between all the contacts and people that shout him out and know him that he does a lot of behind the scenes work in the industry. Yep. So yeah, it's just nice to see him actually get some, light, get some shine, because, with the stuff coming out recently about how Atlantic Records would call albums compilation albums or mixtapes so they could pay producers less. It's nice when a producer actually gets the shine, like everyone knows Metro Boomin, but not everyone knows all the middle guys. So it's nice that Francis is able to, kind of build himself up, because he's clearly been at it for such a long time. But yeah, in the meantime, check out his music, because there's some, fun, light stuff on there.
Yeah, and we put the like I said, the title track onto our playlist. So if you want to get a little taste and see if it's for you, check it out there and pass the playlist along. It's only 3 songs right now. We put Stir Fry by Migos on there, Finesse remix, and Just for Us. We'll be updating it as we listen to more albums and see what's good this year and what you should and should not be listening to.
Right. Yeah. Speaking of things you shouldn't listen to, I listened to Huncho Jack, the Travis Scott and Quavo collaborative album project, whatever, and it's just very very disappointing. I was not pleased, unfortunately. So you'll see no songs from Huncho Jack, which technically came out late December, but it's not on there, so you can skip that if you were on the fence about it.
Odds on a Quavo appearance at Governor's Ball.
That's interesting. I mean, Culture 2 is apparently like super close. Like, I don't know if I need it this fast. Like, we have Motorsport, which is crushing it. Obviously, it's top like 10 right now because of the Cardi effect. But like, I don't know if I need Culture 2 and Shrem Life 3 this fast. But apparently, they're both coming real soon.
I could see Governor's Ball doing something like, and we're going to be talking festivals and music for the year next week. So I don't want to step on it too much. But I could see Governor's Ball doing something like there's going to be a secret guest, and it's just Travis Scott and Quavo as Huncho Jack, like doing like.
It's a good call because Travis is a headliner. Yeah, so they still have the one like secret, unrevealed act. Some people think it could be LCD Sound System.
They would not be on the third line.
I think it's the second line. Yeah,
second line. No way. Anyways, moving on. Something that dropped the same day as France and the Lights. Black Mirror season 4. So Black Mirror is actually an interesting show. When it came out on Netflix last year, 2 years ago now.
No, yeah, it was October 2016.
Feels like a long time ago. So yeah, October 2016. You hadn't caught up yet, so we weren't really able to talk too much about it. I think I gave a couple of takes on the episodes that I really enjoyed and some that I didn't so much. But you've had a chance to catch up now, Dave. So after you've spent so much time catching up in Black Mirror, how would you describe Black Mirror?
Yeah, it's a very unique show. I mean, I think the first thing you have to talk about is Charlie Brooker. He's the creator, producer, wrote a lot of it as well. Because it's, even though it's now, the rights are now owned by Netflix, the distribution rights, it's very much a British show, and Charlie Brooker, obviously a British fellow, but most of the talent in locations are primarily English based, English influence, whatever. But yeah, no, it's interesting because like I had heard about Black Mirror for such a long time. I mean, series 1 came out in 2011, series 2 in 2013, and then the John Hamm Christmas special was in 2014. But it didn't get to Netflix. But Netflix didn't pick up the initial rights to just have it on the platform until the end of 2015, the end of 2014. So it was something that you kind of knew about because it's like, oh, there's this really interesting BBC show. Have you seen it? Oh, we can't talk about it. It's about spoiling it, blah, blah, blah. But then it got to Netflix and then it really blew up. And then, Netflix basically outbid Channel 4, which is the British channel that used to be on, for the rights. And I think they spent like 40 million on it. And then they immediately commissioned 12 episodes to be split into 2 seasons. And, when at that time there was only 7 episodes out. So they just immediately commissioned, twice as much content right away. And we just got the last batch of that, at the end of last year. So, I think it's definitely obvious that the show both took more risks, but also had had more opportunities to have a miss with the extra quantity, with the increased seasons with seasons 3 and 4. But overall, I don't really knock the show on that because it's an anthology show. They have to start from scratch every time. Inevitably is going to take risks, and some things are just not going to land.
I actually think Netflix helps with that though, because if it's a weekly show and it's an anthology, if you have a flop, it stands out because you're sitting with that for a week.
Yeah,
whereas on Netflix, you have a flop and you can just say, okay, well, I'm going to the next one. Hopefully that will be better. And the thing is that there have been flops with this show, but I would say majority of these episodes are good to excellent television.
Right, and even the ones that are clear low points, I still don't think are bad. They're not terrible. I don't regret watching them. So it's all relative.
Yeah, and I think the reason that we both agree that even the low points of the show are still worth watching is because this is a show that is a commentary on technology and society and the effect that moving forward, developing technology into these like higher, more invasive ways is going to impact the way that we relate, the way that psychologically we're impacted, and just overall like the way the world is. A couple episodes take place in like dystopian futures, which
some of it's really high concept.
So it's definitely a thought-provoking show, which even the bad episodes still make you go, huh, like that was interesting, or at least something to think.
Like you get where they were thinking, or you got what they were trying to do, but maybe the execution was too heavy-handed or something.
So now that you've caught up, what are some of the high points for you from the past?
I think season 1, the entire history review, the clear leader there, and then series 2, Be Right Back, as well. I'm a fan of White Christmas. Actually, before I even continue, the cool thing about Black Mirror, which I love the name Black Mirror. It means your phone screen. It's a cool title. But the cool thing about the show overall is that everyone you talk to usually has a different order of favorite episodes, or a different grouping of ones I didn't like that much. It really depends who you talk to. I think it's such a great show to talk about because has such a recreates such a wide ranging dialogue. But entire history review, Be Right Back, White Christmas, and then from season 3, obviously San Junipero. It won 2 Emmys. Obviously, we talked about that last year. I also really liked Hated in the Nation, which was very long. It was the longest episode of the series. And then series 4, which just came out, of course. I'm pretty by the book with this one. I really like the 2 obvious standout ones, USS Callister and Hang the DJ.
Yep.
But I mean, I like things about almost all of them. I don't. There's no one I vehemently dislike. I know a lot of people are kind of down on the Waldo moment, but even that one I don't think is that bad.
Well, the Waldo moment resonates, especially now that we've had the political atmosphere.
If anything, it's like spoiled by your knowledge of the real world. Like it doesn't it hit better back in 2013 than it does today.
Exactly. Yeah, as you were talking about it and just thinking about the episodes that I really enjoyed, the entire history of you is one that I still like sit with. I think I mentioned it on the pod in the past. Like it's literally one that after I watched, I need to like take a walk to like
Yeah,
just like clear my
Kebble
mind a
dog,
bit.
Tony Kebble, get him in good shit. Like he was in the Fantastic Four disaster, like. But he was good in Kong Skull Island. He was really funny in that. But yeah, he needs to be in more shit. That's a cool thing about this show too is it's kind of a showcase for a lot of British talent.
Right. Yeah.
Some of people really well now, like Daniel Kaluuya from Get Out. But a lot of them, he's like, oh, who's that? Oh wait, they were on Game of Thrones. Like it's a nice hotbed for like mid-level UK talent.
Yeah, it's funny when Daniel Kaluuya was cast in Get Out and it blew up. I was like, oh, that's the guy from Black Mirror. Like,
right, of course.
Obviously, he's been in a lot of other quality things before.
Sicario and being Black Panther.
Yeah, and then also thinking just about episodes I really enjoyed that you didn't mention or talk about too much, like White Christmas. You mentioned, but John Hamm is just phenomenal in that, and he gets to kind of be like a Don Drapery type role, which he's always good in.
He eats it up. It's great.
And then White Bear, which doesn't really have like a big star, but it's just like a intense like chase action filled one. And 15 Million Merits is the one with Daniel Kaluuya, but that one doesn't get enough love, I think, because it's pretty intense and it's a very like you said, high concept episode. And it's also interesting because I've been thinking just in my like about a Justin Timberlake movie, like was it In Time or
about time?
Yeah, where like you have like the how many minutes you have to live on your arm. It's kind of like the same thing in this. Like you like see like how like what your worth is, and you can like build it up by doing stuff. Just interesting how they pull from all these things. What were the low points? I think you mentioned Waldo as a low point. Were there any other episodes that you look back and just thought were not up to par?
I mean, some people cite the national anthem, the very first episode. That's the one with the pig, infamously, as a low point. And like as the first episode of Black Mirror I watched, I think that was a good one to start with because it kind of, I don't know, like lubricates you up, like it softens you up to what Black Mirror will do to you. I
don't think it does. It goes in pretty raw dog, dude.
Yeah, I guess.
Literally
too much bestiality.
Yeah.
But I appreciate the national anthem, I guess is what I'll say. Nosedive is another off-cited low point. That was the first episode of season 3. That's the one with Bryce Dallas Howard. Yeah. I really like it because that's it's such an obvious like Instagram play. Everyone projects their best selves on social media, and like it's a good idea. And Mike Schur and Rashida Jones wrote it. And I think did Joe Wright direct it? Like it's a lot of talent there. It was a little too heavy-handed by the end of the day. Maybe too long.
It's an Instagram / Uber commentary, right? Because like how like some Uber drivers won't pick people up who have a certain like level of star or something like that. You know?
Right. And like Men Against Fire, that's the one with like the soldiers with the AR vision is changed or whatever. And like that's another one. I think it's kind of like tilt its hand too early. You kind of can see what's coming. But again, the idea, like I got the idea, but didn't totally work. I've seen the first 4 episodes of the new season, and Crocodile and Archangel. I guess Crocodile was a little predictable.
And Crocodile just like, oh man, I didn't think it was a horrible episode, but just like this girl, like what?
Yeah,
what are you thinking? Just don't give her your memories. What are they gonna do? Put you in jail for a little bit? Like,
yeah, it was a little irrational.
Definitely. I didn't find it very like believable, but it's like you have to suspend belief for a lot of these episodes.
Of course, yeah. You buy in from the start, and then as long as it doesn't break the rules it sets from there, you're okay. I think Shut Up and Dance is kind of similar to past episodes, but again, I thought it was good. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing I like. I have no ones I really hate. Let's put it that way.
If there's any through line or like similarities that you see from season to season at this point, it seems like there's always going to be one that's sort of like a thriller in a way. Like they had White Bear, they had Shut Up and Dance, and then this year Metalhead seems to kind of be in the same vein of just kind of like a chase brought on by technology in some way. And then it also seems like, especially since it's come to Netflix, there's going to be one episode that's uplifting and about love in a sense, and how technology in the future could actually be helpful in terms of love, like San Junipero, which won the Emmy for what TV movie.
Yeah, and then writing as well. I went to.
And so that one, and Hang the DJ also had a happy ending, which you don't really get in Black Mirror. I wonder if that plays a part into why people find those to be two of the more enjoyable episodes too.
Yeah, yeah. I think I saw some people saying Hang the DJ was kind of lazy storytelling, and like I don't know. I think it's just such an immediately resonant, immediately personable episode that people relate to really easily. I mean, obviously it's a Tinder play. You get what it's inspired by, but yeah, I think Hang the DJ really works. And but San Junipero and Hang the DJ aren't good just because they have happy endings per se. I think it's a lot more nuanced than that. USS Callister, I mean, really stood out to me. I mean, obviously, Star Trek play, high production value. You get that. Jesse Plemons, Jimmy Simpson, guys we talk about. It's good talent. But, I mean, the twist in USS Callister is early. Like you're watching that and you're like, oh, this is going to be about Jesse Plemons. And he's a dork. People don't really like him in the real world, but then he's this big, James T. Kirk-esque guy in VR. But don't get lost in VR, it can go bad. That's like what you think's going to happen. And after the first third of it, like, oh no, he's the bad guy. And all the people in the VR are totally sentient. Like, it just does not go where you thought it was going to go. Like, I really enjoyed that one.
Yeah, no, that was a great episode. Also, shout out Kristen Milotti. Like, she was the girl with the umbrella in How I Met Your Mother, and also in Fargo, season 2, I believe.
Correct.
So she's gonna be going places, and an Aaron Paul cameo at the very end.
Yes.
I was so
pumped.
Did
you catch it? I caught it when he started talking. I was like, I know who that is.
I know. I heard the voice, and I was like, well, first of all, I've heard this on BoJack Horseman way too many times.
Oh, right.
Recognize it. But I was so annoying. So I was like, Julianne, do you know who that is? I was like yelling at her, and she's like, no, I don't. Leave me alone. It's like, it's Aaron Paul. So excited for some reason. It really got
I'm the king of space.
Yeah, no, that episode, it was definitely different in format. I think that's the thing that they've gotten to do a lot more. Like you talked about, they've gotten to take more chances, and the more that they play around with the format. I mean, this is like the new age version of the Twilight Zone. If you basically
clearly inspired by it.
Oh, absolutely. And if you gave the Twilight Zone like a much bigger budget, and obviously had more technology to flesh out the ideas of Twilight Zone, I think this would have become anyway. And the more that they play around with it, the more that they're going to find just different ideas that intrigue you. And I think Black Mirror is the kind of show that's just going to be around for a long time, coming out yearly to bi-yearly, and just people are going to call it quality as long as they can get actors that want to do it. It seems like people want to do it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you see it again this season. It's attractive to big name talent like all of PTV because it's less of a commitment than a movie. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, we technically have no more Black Mirror in the future as far as we know right now, just because Netflix hasn't ordered more. But I mean, the show was trending on Twitter. Like, the show has never been bigger or more popular. And judging by the reception this season, it's still quite well liked. So I see no reason that Netflix would let their investment go away. I mean, yeah, maybe they'll give it, they won't turn it over a year from now like they did with seasons 3 and 4, but it'll be back for sure. And I think my general take, I guess, on Black Mirror as a whole, and you can kind of see this through line throughout every season, is that Black Mirror is the best when it's about how people use technology, like the relationship with technology. And it's at its worst when it's about the technology itself,
Right.
So, the humanity aspect, I think, is what makes Black Mirror special. And we should get some more down the line. But definitely check this show out. I mean, it's interesting because some people actually want to watch it out of order. And obviously you totally can. There are some, Easter eggy things that you might notice. But I don't think any of them should be skipped. You just watch them all and formulate your own opinions because, again, everyone's takes on the show are different.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was, but there was a song in one of the episodes that kept coming up, and it was definitely from a past episode. And I'm still trying to figure it out, but I've been thinking about it. I was like, I've heard this song in Black Mirror before. I know that's some callback to something else that happened, but I gotta spend a little bit more time with it. But they definitely do those Easter eggy things. It would be interesting to watch it out of order, but I don't think the order makes a difference either way. Like,
No, it really doesn't.
so, as we wrap up Black Mirror, we're probably not going to be talking about it again this season. But do you expect Black Mirror to potentially ever crack like a best of TV like top 10 list?
Yeah, it's a good call. I think I saw it like top 15, top 12 on the Hollywood Reporters list, but most people didn't. Most critics didn't put it on their list, even though they had the screeners ahead of time. But yeah, the reception is strong. I think it'll definitely be on there. Whether it cracks top 10, I don't know. It'd be hard pressed to be beat for mine so far. Obviously I really like it.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's a good question because it's far away by the time lists come out. 11 months from now, how people feel about it compared to everything else they had more recently seen. It's a good question.
Well, I also feel like Black Mirror sometimes gets dinged a little bit because it's not, it is an anthology show. Like they're telling a different story every time. It's kind of like Easy,
right.
where there's not a character you're following. There's not a story you're following from episode to episode. It's kind of easy to say, well, like a show like Mr. Robot, which I mean, maybe not a good choice because Mr. Robot's one of like the best TV shows like on television in the last 5 years, but that actually has a story you're following and it does innovative things, whereas Black Mirror, it's just story to story, doing very innovative things, but just it's not cohesive.
Yeah, I mean, I assume something from this season will be nominated at the Emmys, just like San Junipero was, and critics will probably follow that lead.
I'm trying to think if any of them are long like that. I don't remember, but yeah, no, absolutely. I hope that gets some love because it's definitely a thought-provoking and interesting show, which unfortunately we won't be talking about for a while because it's not ordered yet, but we'll get there. Yeah. So
definitely tweet us at Nowstalgia Pod. Let us know what your favorite and least favorite episodes are. I'd like to hear what people think because, again, it really varies.
Absolutely. And find Dave, find Dave at Martin Swagger. Find myself at Sheeny World Peace on Twitter. Go to soundcloud.com/nostalgiapod to find any way to listen to the show. And go to YouTube. Give us a subscription. Share us. Comment. You can be like Hoodie Allen, who comments on our video one time. So, and we have a lot of different things coming up. Obviously, we're getting into awards season. We have a preview for the year next week. We're going to be talking about music that we're looking forward to and festivals that we are or aren't looking forward to. I think that'll be a fun discussion. And anything you want to talk about this year, let us know. We will watch. We are shameless,
of course,
in terms of bringing you content. Any last thoughts, Dave?
Yeah, I mean, there's actually some stuff coming up this week. Music front, really only one album anyone will pay attention to. It's Camila Cabello's debut solo album, Camila. I'll probably check that out due to morbid curiosity. I mean, I listened to the totally forgettable Fifth Harmony record last summer, so I'll be curious to see what Camila's got on her own brain going on. But and the TV. So was it yesterday? So Sunday, The Chi on Showtime started. That's a show about Chicago youth, from Lena Waithe, who obviously won the Emmy for Master of None, and has Jason Mitchell, guy we love from Mudbound, and also has Alex Hibbert, who played young Chiron in Moonlight. So that's a show that might be around for a while, given the pedigree. This Friday, we have Philip K. Dick's Electric Dreams on Amazon Prime. And this is kind of like a Black Mirror adjacent show. It's about technology. It's very Black Mirror-esque. I think the reviews aren't quite as strong, but if you have that itch, maybe check this out and see if you like it, because similar to Black Mirror, there's quite a talented cast throughout it. Richard Madden, who played Robb Stark, is there, as well as Liam Cunningham, who played Sir Davos, and then Bryan Cranston, Anna Paquin, Terrence Howard, Benedict Wong, who was also in Black Mirror season 3, Jack Rayner. So there's some good talent there. And then Sunday, 14th, season 2 of Crashing comes out. Pat, I know you watched some of season 1. Did you finish that? The Pete Holmes comedy? Did you like that?
I did. I did like it. Didn't love it, but I definitely want. I'm intrigued by the second season, especially after listening to the Bill Simmons podcast with Pete Holmes. A great interview. Has me excited to see where they go with it. Judd Apatow, I think, produces that show.
Yeah, I know he directed some of the first season anyway. And then lastly, my first guest needs no my first guest needs no introduction from David Letterman, new Netflix interview show, which is interesting because it's coming out monthly, one episode a month. Is it the first time they've done that? I think it might be. First episode this Friday is with Obama.
Yeah, which I'm actually really looking forward to that. But I'm interested to see what Letterman does. I don't know if they've ever done a monthly thing. I don't know how often Chelsea Handler's show comes out because she
that's a good call.
Show too. I don't know what the deal was with that, but definitely Letterman coming back is big news, especially because he has like a murderer's row of guests.
The whole guest list out there already. It's really strong. Jay-Z.
So yeah, Jay-Z, Hove,
Howard Stern, Tina Fey, George Clooney. It's pretty good.
he's a big name, big star. So,
and honestly, the fact that it's once a month, I think it's really easy to get people on board because it's not like there's a whole season of 6 episodes, 8 episodes right now. No, it's one, just one. You can finish it off right away. It's very accessible. Plus, it's Dave Letterman.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to give you quality content. Just tune in, watch once a month, whatever. You're going to enjoy it. So yeah, definitely a lot of interesting TV to check out. If you have that Black Mirror itch, go scratch it, as Dave said. But if you have the Nowstalgia itch, give us a rating review on iTunes. Tweet at us, interact with us. We love you guys. We want to bring you better content in 2018, even though we think we brought you pretty quality content last year. And help us out. Help us out. I'm plugging that. This is my New Year's resolution to get us off the ground more than we already are. So we're going to do it.
Gang, gang.
Gang, gang. See you next week.